Welcome to Crafted Nest, a humble space where we learn to create beauty from the things often forgotten. Have you ever imagined that a simple plastic bottle, usually tossed away, could instead become a colorful mini garden that brings peace to your home? Here, we'll take a DIY journey that's easy to follow, filled with inspiration, and designed for you to try at home. Each idea will open your eyes to the truth that creativity doesn't have to be expensive. It only takes intention, a little time, and the bottles lying around you. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Crafted Nest. That way, you won't miss new ideas that can transform your home into a brighter, greener, and more joyful place. Let's observe, adapt, and create something truly your own. There is something poetic about turning what was once waste into a vessel for life. Imagine holding a plastic bottle, the kind we usually toss aside without a second thought. In your hands, it becomes more than a container. It becomes a canvas for growth. This is the spirit of upcycled plastic bottle planters, taking what seems ordinary and forgotten and giving it a second chance beneath the warmth of the sun. The beauty of this project lies in its simplicity. A single bottle, cut with care, can cradle soil and seeds that soon push their way into green leaves. There is no need for perfection. In fact, the uneven edges and the marks of scissors tell the story of your touch, your effort, and your intention. That raw authenticity is what makes DIY creations so endearing. Place them on a windowsill, along a balcony, or scatter them in the garden. Each planter becomes a personal statement, reflecting creativity and mindfulness. The bright hues of flowers or the crisp scent of herbs make these planters more than decor. They are reminders that beauty can bloom from unlikely places. For beginners, it's a gentle way to start gardening without investing in expensive pots. For children, it's a playful lesson about sustainability and care. And for all of us, it is an invitation to slow down, to reconnect with nature, and to take joy in the small victories, a sprout breaking through the soil, a flower opening at dawn. By upcycling bottles into planters, you are not just making something useful. You are shaping a habit of gratitude, of seeing possibility in the overlooked. That, perhaps, is the real garden you cultivate. There is a quiet kind of magic and simplicity, and the self-watering bottle planter is one of those small wonders that make life easier. Imagine a humble plastic bottle, divided into two. The top half, filled with soil and tender seedlings, rests gently inside the bottom half, where clear water waits patiently. A strip of cotton or cloth acts as the bridge, carrying just enough moisture upward. What once was waste becomes a little ecosystem of its own. The soil never dries out too quickly, the roots never thirst too long, and the plant learns to grow steadily, sip by sip. For those who often forget to water, or who leave home for days, this hack is a blessing. The plant thrives without the constant worry of neglect. Place these planters by the kitchen window, where herbs like basil, mint, or parsley can flourish. Each morning, the leaves greet you with freshness, fed by a system that quietly works while you rest. It is an everyday reminder that even the simplest tools can support life when designed with thoughtfulness. Children can marvel at the way water moves, learning about science through nature's rhythm. Adults, too, can find comfort in the gentle assurance that life continues even in their absence. It is more than convenience. It is a symbol of balance, of harmony between effort and trust. By making self-watering planters, you create not just a functional object, but a small sanctuary. It teaches patience, reliability, and the wisdom that sometimes the best growth comes not from constant intervention, but from creating the right environment and letting nature do the rest. There is something graceful about a garden that climbs toward the sky. The hanging vertical bottle garden is a way of letting life flow upward, turning empty walls and plain railings into cascades of green. Imagine rows of bottles, suspended with rope, each one cradling soil and roots, each one carrying a story of renewal. This design is not about perfection. It is about rhythm. The rhythm of bottles swaying in the breeze, of sunlight slipping through leaves, of water dripping gently from one planter to the next. It transforms unused corners into places of wonder. With every glance, you see how simple objects, once discarded, can reshape the feel of a home. Herbs can flourish here, ready to be plucked for cooking. Bright flowers can spill over the edges, painting walls with color. Even leafy vegetables, when tended with patience, can climb gracefully, reminding us that nourishment does not have to come from distant places. It can bloom right where we live. For those with little space, this is freedom. A small balcony becomes a sanctuary. A narrow alley becomes a garden. With ropes, scissors, and bottles, you can weave beauty where there was once only emptiness. Children will marvel at how plants seem to float in midair, and neighbors will stop to admire the creativity in something so simple. More than a garden, it is a gentle reminder. Life always finds a way to rise. By building a vertical bottle garden, you are not only reclaiming space, but also teaching yourself to see upward possibilities in what the world has left behind. Every rope tied, every bottle filled, is a quiet act of hope. There is laughter woven into the strokes of a paintbrush, especially when children are the artists. Imagine a row of bottles transformed into playful animal faces, pandas with round eyes, cats with curious whiskers, rabbits with long ears reaching upward. Each planter carries not only soil and seeds, but also the joy of creativity. For children, making animal-faced bottle planters is more than just a craft. It is a journey where imagination takes root. The paint stains on their fingers, the giggles as they argue over which animal to create, the pride when they see a tiny sprout pushing through. All these moments make the garden alive with memory. Parents and teachers can use this simple project to teach lessons that last beyond the afternoon. Children learn that recycling can be fun, that waste can bloom into something beautiful. They also learn responsibility, watering their panda planter, checking if their rabbit needs more sunlight, noticing when their frog's leaves turn toward the window. In these small acts, children discover patience and care. And when the planters are gathered together, they form a tiny zoo of greenery. A windowsill turns into a parade of animals. A classroom corner becomes a playful jungle. Even a child's desk can host a colorful companion that grows quietly while homework is done. In the end, it is not just about plants or bottles. It is about giving children a way to create with their hands, to dream with their hearts, and to see the world not as disposable, but as full of possibility. These animal-faced planters are little reminders that joy and growth often come from the simplest, most playful beginnings. There is a certain joy that only color can bring. A splash of red against the green of leaves, a stroke of yellow catching the sun, a swirl of blue reminding us of the sky. When recycled bottles are painted into bright pots, they become more than planters. They become little bursts of happiness scattered around our homes. Imagine walking onto a balcony lined with painted bottle pots. Each one is different, carrying the mark of the hand that made it. Some have neat stripes, others playful polka dots, and a few are simply bathed in bold, single shades. None are perfect, and that is what makes them beautiful. They carry the warmth of effort, the softness of human touch. Painting these pots is as much therapy as it is craft. With every brushstroke, stress fades. The mind quiets, focusing only on color and shape. Families can gather around a table with bottles, brushes, and paints, turning an ordinary afternoon into a celebration of creativity. Children add their own wild patterns, adults bring their careful details, and together they create a collection that feels alive. When placed in a garden or by a sunny window, the pots reflect light and joy. They brighten the dull corners, making even small spaces feel vibrant. More than decoration, they are reminders that we can choose to fill our lives with color, no matter the canvas. These colorful painted bottle pots show that sustainability does not need to be plain. It can be bold, cheerful, and full of spirit. Each plant, growing inside its lively home, seems to smile a little brighter, as if to say, beauty and renewal belong not just in nature, but also in the colors we dare to paint with our own hands. There is something deeply comforting about stepping into a space where the walls breathe with life. A wall-mounted bottle herb garden does exactly that. It transforms a blank surface into a living canvas, a patchwork of greenery that offers both beauty and nourishment. Imagine a row of bottles, once discarded, now fixed firmly onto wood or bamboo. Inside each, herbs stretch their leaves toward the light, mint releasing its cool scent, basil standing tall with fragrant leaves, parsley adding its fresh vibrancy. The air feels lighter, fresher, touched by the presence of plants that ask for little but give so much in return. This idea is perfect for homes with limited ground space. Even a narrow kitchen wall can become a garden. With each glance, you see not just plants, but possibilities, meals enriched with homegrown flavor, moments made warmer with the sight of green leaves within reach. Creating a wall-mounted garden is also a gentle act of rhythm. Cutting, filling, planting, and mounting. Each step is simple, yet together they create something remarkable. It teaches patience, reminding us that growth does not happen in an instant, but through quiet consistency. Families can gather herbs while preparing food. Children can learn the joy of harvesting what they planted, and guests can marvel at the creativity of turning bottles into a vertical garden. It is a way of saying, we can live beautifully and sustainably at the same time. When sunlight touches the leaves and the aroma drifts into the air, you feel a harmony between nature and home. A wall-mounted bottle herb garden is not just decor. It is a reminder that life thrives wherever we choose to nurture it, even on the simplest of walls. There is a quiet wonder in building upward, in stacking life one layer at a time. The tiered bottle planter tower captures this spirit beautifully, turning simple bottles into a vertical garden that feels both playful and practical. Picture a tower of bottles, each level holding soil and roots, each layer offering a new shade of green. Herbs grow on one tier, flowers bloom on another, and perhaps small vegetables peek from yet another. It is like crafting a tiny ecosystem that rises toward the sky, proof that even limited ground can host abundance. The process itself is rewarding. Cutting, aligning, and fastening bottles into shape requires patience, but the result feels alive with possibility. As the tower stands tall in a garden or balcony, it tells a story of resilience, that growth can always find a way upward. For those who have only a small yard or even just a sunny corner, this design opens doors to growing more with less. Children marvel at the height, watching plants climb from one level to the next. Adults admire the efficiency, seeing how a single tower can produce herbs, flowers, and food. And visitors smile, surprised by how something so humble can look so impressive. Every tower becomes unique, shaped by the plants you choose and the care you give. It is not only a structure of bottles, but also of intention, patience, and creativity. When sunlight warms the leaves and shadows stretch down the tiers, you see how simple steps can create a monument to sustainability. The tiered bottle planter tower is more than a garden trick. It is a gentle lesson that with imagination, even small beginnings can rise high, bringing beauty and nourishment into our lives. There is something grounding about wood, its warmth, its texture, its quiet strength. When paired with recycled bottle planters, wooden stands bring a balance of nature and creativity, turning what was once waste into a harmonious display. Imagine simple bottles, cut and filled with soil, resting gently on wooden frames crafted by hand. The wood cradles the bottles with dignity, lifting them slightly above the ground, almost as if giving them a stage. Herbs sprout with confidence, flowers open more brightly, and even the smallest seedlings seem proud in their elevated home. These stands are not only functional but also deeply aesthetic. They protect the planters from tipping over, give space for air to circulate, and create a sense of order in a garden. A corner once cluttered with bottles now feels designed, intentional, and calm. The raw tones of wood blend with the green of leaves and the playful shapes of bottles, forming a tapestry of natural charm. The process of making the stands can be simple. Scraps of bamboo, planks from old furniture, or driftwood found nearby. Each cut, each nail, each knot of rope adds character. It does not need perfection. The small imperfections in wood grain and bottle edges tell a story of effort and care. When arranged together, bottle planters with wooden stands transform a balcony, a patio, or even a modest backyard into something resembling a little gallery. Guests notice not just the plants, but the artistry behind the display. More than decoration, it becomes a reflection of how beauty can be created when we let natural and recycled materials dance together. In every glance, you see renewal, not only of bottles, but of wood, of space, and perhaps of your own sense of possibility. There is a quiet charm in things that are small. Mini bottle succulent pots capture that delicate beauty, offering a touch of life that asks for little, yet gives so much. Succulents, with their thick leaves and patient growth, seem almost made for these tiny recycled homes. Imagine a windowsill dotted with small planters, each no bigger than your palm. Inside, succulents sit like living sculptures, shapes that twist, rosettes that spiral, leaves that glow under the sun. They do not shout for attention, but instead whisper calm into the space. Their resilience reminds us that even the smallest vessels can hold strength and grace. Creating these mini pots is simple, almost playful. Cut the bottle low, fill it with a handful of soil, and nestle the succulent inside. A few pebbles scattered on top give a polished look, like jewels surrounding a crown. The process itself feels meditative, a gentle pause in the middle of a busy day. These pots are perfect for desks, shelves, or little corners that crave a spark of green. They make thoughtful gifts too, tiny tokens of care that continue to grow long after they are given. And because succulents thrive with minimal watering, they are forgiving companions, happy to wait patiently even when life gets hectic. In their smallness lies a lesson. Beauty does not depend on size. A single succulent in a recycled bottle can brighten a room, shift a mood, or remind us to slow down. These mini bottle pots are not only about sustainability, but also about finding wonder in the little things. Proof that sometimes the smallest creations carry the greatest charm. There is something uplifting about stepping onto a balcony and being greeted by green life. Bottle planters for balcony railings turn the edges of our living spaces into little gardens that hover between home and sky. It is an idea born from simplicity, yet it carries the power to transform even the smallest balcony into a place of beauty and nourishment. Imagine bottles tied neatly to the railing, each one a pocket of earth holding herbs, flowers, or vegetables. The sun touches them first in the morning, and by evening, the cool breeze sways their leaves. From inside the home, the balcony no longer looks plain. It glows with color and vitality. This design is more than decoration. It is practical for those with little space, giving room for growth where there was none. Fresh herbs at arm's reach, chilies ripening within sight, flowers brightening the view. It is like having a private garden without ever stepping off your balcony. The act of tying bottles to the railing feels grounding. Rope against metal, soil against plastic, green against gray. It is the meeting of worlds. For families and apartments, it becomes a way to keep nature close. For children, it is a discovery that gardens can exist even high above the ground. And when neighbors glance up to see your balcony blooming, curiosity often follows. Perhaps it inspires them to try their own, spreading the idea like vines climbing from one home to the next. Bottle planters on balcony railings are proof that even in crowded cities, there is space for life. With creativity and care, the edges of our homes can become borders of green hope. Some of the best ideas are born from simple gestures, like cutting and flipping a bottle. This design is straightforward yet clever, turning a single plastic bottle into a planter that almost feels like it was meant to be that way all along. Picture it. The bottle is cut, the top inverted into the bottom, soil cradled inside, roots quietly drinking from the reservoir below. There is balance here, a partnership between earth above and water below, sustained by nothing more than a flip of the hand. The beauty of this design lies in its practicality. It saves space, reduces waste, and offers a self-sustaining rhythm for the plants. For beginners, it is forgiving. Water stays longer, roots reach deeper, and the leaves thrive without constant attention. For those who enjoy gardening experiments, it is a chance to observe the hidden dance of roots through the clear bottle walls. Imagine lining these planters on a sunny balcony. The light filters through the plastic, revealing the delicate white threads of roots weaving downward. It is not just gardening, it becomes a classroom of life. Children marvel at how plants drink, adults smile at the elegance of a small hack, and everyone senses the quiet wonder of nature's adaptability. Creating these planters requires little more than scissors, soil, and patience. Yet the result feels like something inventive, something clever enough to make you proud. It reminds us that solutions do not always need to be complex. Sometimes they are just a matter of turning things upside down. The cut and flip bottle planter is a simple reminder. With creativity, even the most ordinary objects can be reshaped into vessels of growth and renewal. There is a special beauty in details, and stones have a way of grounding that beauty. When added to bottle planters, pebbles transform them from simple containers into little works of art, carrying both elegance and practicality. Imagine a planter where layers of earth and stone are visible through clear plastic. Soil cradles the roots, while a bed of pebbles above adds charm and prevents the soil from splashing when watered. Each pebble feels like a brushstroke in nature's painting, a reminder that small touches create lasting impressions. River stones bring calm, their smooth surfaces echoing the rhythm of flowing water. White pebbles brighten the planter, making the green leaves glow brighter in contrast. Even colorful stones, collected from nature walks or markets, add personality and playfulness to each design. It is as if the plant sits upon its own stage, celebrated with quiet dignity. Beyond aesthetics, stones help maintain balance. They keep moisture in, support fragile stems, and even invite children to learn how simple materials can serve multiple purposes. The planter becomes not only a vessel for growth, but also a lesson in harmony, how earth, water, and stone work together to sustain life. Set these planters on balconies, windowsills, or garden tables. Each one becomes a tiny landscape, a miniature world where nature and craft meet. When sunlight spills over the stones, the planter comes alive with texture and warmth, catching the eye and calming the mind. In the end, these creative bottle planters remind us that beauty does not need to be grand or complex. Sometimes, it is found in the quiet pairing of stones and plants, in the way small details make ordinary things extraordinary. There is something timeless about rope, the way it weaves strength with simplicity. When paired with bottle planters, it creates more than just a place for plants. It becomes a dance of balance between what is suspended and what grows. Bottle planters with rope hangers invite us to look upward, to see life swaying gently in the breeze. Imagine a wooden beam lined with ropes, each one holding a bottle filled with soil and green leaves. As the wind stirs, the planters sway softly, like nature humming a quiet tune. The ropes, rough and honest, contrast beautifully with the smooth plastic of the bottles, reminding us that handmade creations carry their own kind of grace. Hanging these planters saves space, yes, but it also adds movement and rhythm to the garden. They turn static corners into places alive with energy. Herbs dangle within reach, flowers cascade downward, and even small vegetables can thrive in these airy homes. It is gardening that feels both rustic and modern, rooted and free. The act of tying knots and securing bottles with rope feels almost meditative. Each loop and pull is a small ritual of care. Children can learn simple knotting techniques, making the process both creative and educational. Adults may find peace in the repetitive motion, watching their design take shape. When sunlight touches the leaves and shadows of the ropes fall across the walls, the space feels transformed. It is no longer just a balcony, porch, or corner. It becomes a sanctuary that hangs between earth and sky. These rope-hanging bottle planters remind us that beauty does not always need to stand tall. Sometimes it floats, sways, and lingers in the gentle embrace of air. There is poetry in a bonsai tree. It is not simply a plant. It is patience made visible, time sculpted into living form. When placed inside a recycled bottle planter, the bonsai becomes a symbol of harmony, the old art of miniature trees meeting the humble simplicity of upcycled materials. Picture a tiny tree, its roots anchored in soil cradled by a clear bottle. Branches twist gracefully, leaves whisper in the sunlight, and moss spreads like a soft carpet beneath. Through the transparent sides, you can see the roots winding down, a reminder of how life seeks stability even in the most unexpected vessels. Making a bonsai planter from a bottle requires care. The bottle must be cut wide, allowing enough room for roots to breathe. Small stones or pebbles can be layered for drainage, while soil gently holds the tree in place. The process itself slows you down, asking for steady hands and quiet attention. The result is not just decoration but meditation. A recycled bottle bonsai planter can rest on a desk, a balcony, or a small garden shelf, offering peace wherever it stands. Each glance at it is a pause, an invitation to breathe more deeply, to notice the beauty in restraint and detail. Children may marvel at the tiny tree in a bottle, while adults feel the calm presence it radiates. Guests will be surprised at how something so ordinary, a plastic bottle, can cradle something so profound. In these planters, we see a meeting of worlds, the discipline of bonsai, the creativity of recycling, and the quiet lessons of nature. They remind us that growth does not always mean reaching higher. Sometimes, it means refining what already is and cherishing it in miniature. Water has a voice of its own, a soft trickle that soothes the heart, a rhythm that reminds us of rivers and rain. When paired with plants in a recycled bottle, it creates something enchanting, a bottle planter water fountain combo. This design marries the life of green leaves with the serenity of flowing water, turning a simple corner into a sanctuary. Imagine a planter where roots nestle in soil above, while below, water gently cascades down pebbles, pooling at the base before rising again. The bottle becomes both a vessel of growth and a channel of movement. Sunlight catches the droplets, making them sparkle like glass, while the leaves sway gently, nourished not only by soil but also by the cool presence of water. Creating this design feels almost like crafting a story. With bottles, a small pump, and a few stones, you weave together earth and water in harmony. It is practical, keeping plants hydrated, but also deeply aesthetic, an everyday reminder of balance. On a balcony, it masks the noise of the street with gentle splashes. In a garden, it adds a layer of life, drawing birds and butterflies closer. Indoors, it becomes a piece of living decor, calming the mind with its rhythm. Children lean in to watch the dance of droplets, while adults find a moment of stillness in its sound. This combo is more than a DIY project. It is a meditation. It tells us that growth is not silent, that beauty can be found in the meeting of elements. With bottles, plants, and water, you create not just a planter, but a reminder that life flows, always moving, always renewing. There is a kind of magic that appears when the sun sets and light lingers in unexpected places. Glow-in-the-dark bottle planters capture this enchantment, turning simple recycled bottles into lanterns of life. By day, they are planters filled with soil and green leaves. By night, They transform into glowing companions, carrying quiet light into the darkness. Imagine stepping into a garden at dusk. The air cools, the sky deepens, and suddenly the bottles along the railing or wall begin to glow. Soft blues, greens, and yellows shimmer from their surfaces, framing the plants within like gentle halos. It feels playful and calming all at once, a reminder that creativity can make even the night bloom. The process is as joyful as the result. A layer of glow-in-the-dark paint brushed onto bottles, perhaps in patterns of stars, stripes, or simple swirls. Children can join in, painting their own designs, knowing they will light up the evening later. The paints charge under sunlight, storing brightness and gifting it back when the world grows dim. These planters are perfect for balconies, gardens, or patios where evenings are spent in conversation. They light the path without electricity, offering a sustainable touch of wonder. They make gatherings warmer, dinners under the night sky more memorable, and solitary moments outdoors more comforting. Beyond beauty, they remind us that life does not end with sunset. Growth continues quietly, roots still weave through soil, leaves still breathe. The glow is a symbol of that persistence, an echo of daylight carried into the dark. Glow-in-the-dark bottle planters are more than decor. They are small beacons of creativity, sustainability, and joy. They remind us that even the simplest objects can shine, quite literally, when given a chance. Every harvest begins with something small, a seed pushing through the soil, a leaf unfurling toward the sun. Bottle planters for vegetable seedlings honor this beginning, providing a simple and nurturing space for young plants to take their first steps into life. Imagine a row of bottles, each cradling a handful of soil. Tiny seedlings stretch upward, fragile yet determined, their leaves trembling in the breeze. Through the clear plastic, you can even glimpse their roots reaching down, weaving their quiet strength. It is a scene that speaks of patience, of growth waiting to unfold. These planters are not only practical, but also deeply sustainable. They offer a way to reuse bottles while creating the perfect nursery for vegetables. Tomatoes, chilies, spinach, or even beans can start here, safe and protected until they are strong enough to move into larger beds or the open earth. For those with limited space, the bottles can even serve as their permanent home, growing vegetables right on balconies or windowsills. The act of planting seedlings in bottles feels hopeful. Each seed pressed into the soil carries a promise of nourishment, of meals yet to be shared. Children learn where their food comes from. Adults find comfort in watching life progress day by day, and families discover the joy of eating something they raised with their own hands. There is also beauty in the rhythm it creates, watering gently, checking leaves, moving the bottles to follow the sun. It turns gardening into a daily ritual, one that connects us back to the earth even in the midst of modern life. Bottle planters for seedlings remind us that greatness begins small. A harvest of plenty can start in the humblest of places, even inside a recycled plastic bottle. A table becomes more than a place to eat when it carries life at its heart. Bottle planter centerpieces bring a freshness that no store-bought decoration can match, simple, handmade, and alive. They are proof that beauty does not need to be costly, only thoughtful. Imagine sitting at a dining table where, instead of plastic flowers or polished ornaments, you see green herbs and colorful blossoms growing inside an upcycled bottle. Sunlight spills through the leaves, catching on petals and water droplets, turning the centerpiece into a living sculpture. The meal feels warmer, conversations flow easier, and the air itself seems lighter with the presence of plants. Making these centerpieces is a joyful act of transformation. A bottle once destined for the trash is cleaned, cut, and perhaps dressed with twine, fabric, or paint. Then soil, and seeds turn it into something new, something that breathes and grows. Families can decorate together, children can add their touches, and soon every table gathering carries a story of care and creativity. These planters are versatile. In a rustic setting, They echo the charm of the countryside. In a modern home, they add a playful contrast to sleek furniture. Outdoors, they complement the natural light, while indoors, they bring the garden closer to daily life. Herbs like rosemary or mint even add fragrance, turning meals into sensory experiences. But beyond style, they remind us to keep life close, even in small ways. A centerpiece made from a bottle is not only decoration, it is a gesture of mindfulness, a symbol of renewal, and a reminder that beauty often lies in what we choose to nurture. With each glance at the table, you see not just food and conversation, but the quiet pulse of nature in the middle of it all. Every project feels more special when it carries a personal touch. A personalized DIY bottle garden kit is not just a collection of materials. It is an invitation to create, to nurture, and to make something that reflects who you are. Imagine opening a simple box that holds all you need: bottles cleaned and cut, packets of seeds waiting to sprout, a small bag of soil, and maybe even brushes and paints to decorate. It feels like unwrapping potential, like holding the promise of green life in your hands. The kit is not about perfection, but about possibility. Personalizing each planter adds meaning. A child writes their name on one bottle and plants beans, watching with pride as the first leaves unfold. A parent chooses herbs for cooking, labeling their planter with a touch of humor or care. Even friends can exchange personalized planters as gifts, carrying not only plants but also stories. The beauty of a DIY kit is that it makes gardening accessible. Beginners no longer feel lost. They have all they need to start. Families find a shared activity that bridges generations. And for those who live in apartments or busy cities, a small kit becomes a doorway back to nature, even if only on a balcony or windowsill. When the bottles are filled, when the seeds break the soil, you realize that this is more than a kit. It is a ritual, a reminder that creation can be simple yet profound. Each personalized planter becomes a mirror of the hands that shaped it, carrying not just plants but intention, care, and identity. In the end, a personalized DIY bottle garden kit is less about what it contains and more about what it begins. The joy of watching life grow in a way that feels uniquely yours. There is something deeply satisfying about learning step by step, each action small on its own, but together creating something whole. A bottle planter tutorial embodies this rhythm, guiding us from ordinary plastic to a vessel of life with patience and clarity. Picture the process: a clean bottle resting on the table, scissors cutting through with steady hands. The sound of plastic giving way is the first chapter. Next, soil is poured, soft and dark, cradling seeds that wait quietly. A trickle of water follows, waking the seeds, asking them to grow. Finally, sunlight touches the bottle, and the cycle of life begins. This simple sequence becomes a story anyone can follow. For beginners, it offers confidence, the knowledge that gardening need not be complicated. For children, it sparks wonder as they see with their own eyes how something so plain can transform into a home for life. For families, it becomes a shared ritual, each person taking a step. One cuts, another fills, another plants. Together, they create not only planters but memories. The beauty of a step-by-step approach is its accessibility. There is no rush, no pressure to be perfect. Every cut, every scoop of soil, every drop of water feels intentional, grounding us in the present moment. The result is not only a planter but also a lesson in patience and care. When the tutorial ends, what remains is more than a finished project. It is the awareness that creation is built on small steps, that transformation is always possible with a little guidance. A step-by-step bottle planter is not just a craft. It is a reminder that growth begins with simple actions, repeated with heart.